Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of TechteamGB. Today I'm taking a look at the Perixx PX-5200. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so to start off we're just going to take a look around the box. On the front there's a designed in Germany sticker which should give you some confidence on the build quality. There's also a few pieces of information at the top left telling you that the keyboard is full sized, it uses Cherry MX key switches. It also says it uses blue LEDs, although this one is white, so that's kind of strange, not sure what went on there. Furthermore, it also mentions about backlight illumination, which is cool so you can see your keyboard in the dark basically. It also says it has 12 programmable keys, which is also incorrect as it has 8, so it seems like there's a bit of a cock up in the packaging department, so I'm not sure what was going on there, maybe some miscommunications or whatever. And it also mentioned that there's N-key rollover, which basically means you can mash all the keys at the same time and they'll all be registered by your computer, which is kind of cool. We'll get onto that a bit more later. On the back there's also a few more pieces of information just highlighting the key points, so feel free to pause so you can read them in a bit more depth. So moving on, the cable that comes with the keyboard is actually nicely braided with gold connectors. It uses a mini USB on the end that connects to the keyboard. This means that you can interchange it with other cables, so if you wanted a longer cable or a short cable, or if the cable breaks you can replace it yourself. It also gets routed around a small little channel, so if you tug on it too much it shouldn't damage the connector. One thing to mention is if you want to use N-key rollover you will need to use the PS2 to USB converter that comes in the box, as USB doesn't support that many keys pressed at the same time, which is kind of annoying, although I wouldn't actually imagine myself using N-key rollover anyway. Now the feet on the keyboard also seem really solidly built, meaning if you whack it in a fit of rage whilst playing a game they shouldn't break off. They also give a really nice satisfying click when you push them into place, which definitely gives you some confidence in them. The feet do a pretty solid job at keeping the keyboard in one place, although it can still be moved around if you wish. Now the layout of a keyboard is one of the most important things, and thankfully they didn't make any major mistakes here. The one we're using is a UK layout which has a double white enter key and a few other key differences to something like a US keyboard, but they didn't really make any changes at all to the stock layout, which is great, so you won't be missing any keys or hitting the wrong key by accident. And there isn't really any media keys, although there are dedicated volume control buttons, which is nice. There's also a gamer button which once pressed deactivates the Windows key so you don't accidentally press it whilst playing a game. Now there are 8 macro keys on the keyboard, which is set up by holding down the macro key and then pressing the macro key that you want to set up. You then press the keys that you wish to bind to that macro key and then hit the macro record key button once more. If you want to delete the macro key recording, all you have to do is press and hold the macro key button and the macro key that you want to set up, and then press the macro key again, and then that will wipe whatever was on the macro key. I feel like the functionality of them is slightly let down by the lack of software, because you can't really link them to anything such as opening a program or going backwards and forwards in your browser. All you can do is link them to characters, which seems kind of useless. I know for something like an MMO game it perhaps would be useful, but for me I don't really play a lot of those sort of games, and I have other keyboards with macro functions and I like to use them to things like calculator, opening up Google Chrome and a few other applications, but with this all you can do is link them to characters. The illumination on the keyboard is also quite simple. You can either have it off, on, just the WASD keys on, or just the arrow keys on. To control these different settings you hold down the macro record key and then use the tab button to cycle through them. There's absolutely no brightness control, meaning if it's too bright you'll just have to deal with it or turn it off, which seems rather silly, and I'm pretty sure everything else with LED lighting has a brightness control, so I'm not sure what Perixx were thinking here. Now one of the key selling points of the keyboard is its Cherry MX switches. It comes with either reds, blues, blacks or browns. The one we're testing has blues, which give a clicky and tactile feedback, which is nice. There are thousands of videos and articles talking about why mechanical keys are awesome and covering all the different types of them, so I'm not going to cover that, but one thing I did notice is some of the larger keys, such as the enter key and backspace key, felt like they were a little bit spongy. Now this could be because of the support mechanism used in them, but it definitely stood out to me as I'm really used to typing on my Razer Black Widow, which doesn't have any of those problems. Now this could be solved through some more wearing, or perhaps there's a fault with this keyboard, but it kind of put me off slightly when I was typing. I did get used to it eventually, but it's still not great. Now the keyboard also boasts N-key rollover, meaning if you press every key on the keyboard at the same time, it'll all be recognised, although you do have to be using the PS2 to USB converter. Now I found this very useful when I found myself one day typing with my face and forearm. Now one thing I really like and stood out to me about the keyboard is its build quality. This thing is built like a freaking tank. It barely even flexes when I actually try and bend it, and I'm pretty confident that this will be my weapon of choice in a zombie apocalypse. So overall I do like the keyboard, although there are definitely some aspects which they need to improve on. It almost feels like it was made for the market of 2012, not 2015, as having no software does mean it's fully plug and play, but also means there is literally no customization. The spongy key problem is difficult to explain and may go away after the keyboard is furthermore worn in, or maybe I just have a faulty unit, I'm not sure, but I definitely noticed it, especially when I first started using the keyboard. Now the price is definitely the most determining factor of pretty much any product out there. This thing comes in at £79.99 on Amazon, which is pretty much where we get all of our pricing from because we have an affiliate link and we all pretty much buy everything off Amazon. Now onto the scores. Value for money, we're going to give it a 4 out of 5 as the price is nothing special and won't break the bank. So nothing great about the price, nothing terrible about the price. For performance, it serves its purpose, so it's going to get a 4 out of 5. There's nothing special, does nothing particularly bad, so 4 out of 5 for performance. For functionality, it's going to get a 3 out of 5 because it's definitely lacking any extra features. For style, this is definitely very varied from person to person. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 because I think it's slightly boring. There's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing great about it, but it's not really my cup of tea, but it may be yours. Now for an overall TechteamGB score, I was kind of torn between giving it a 3 or a 4. I ended up giving it a 3. There isn't really much wrong with it, although it's definitely lacking any extra features. I mean, come on, the thing doesn't even have brightness control. So like I said, there's not much wrong with it, and it's definitely not a bad keyboard. Although there really needs to be some things that they need to improve on, and it just feels so simple, and like I mentioned, it almost feels sort of outdated. So if you like the keyboard, I definitely wouldn't say don't get it, although there are probably some better options out there, so definitely go and explore those before jumping ahead and buying this thing. Alright guys, so thanks for watching this episode of TechteamGB. If you like the video, make sure you hit the like button. If you dislike it, hit the dislike button. While you're down there, leave us a comment so you can tell us what to improve on next time, or you can also tell us what you loved about the video so we can make sure we keep on doing it. Make sure you subscribe so you can get regular updates whenever we release a video. Also favourite the video so that you can come back to it later so it doesn't just get lost in the world of YouTube. Share it so your friends can also watch this amazing content, and we'll see you all next time. Bye!